Time is 6:10 p.m., Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. I call to order this regular Oconee County Council meeting. Let's begin with a moment of silence. Mr. David Root, would you lead us in a moment of silence? In a prayer.
Pray with me if you'd like to. Well, our dearest Father, our Creator and the Sustainer of our lives, we are grateful. Hopefully very grateful for every day that you give us. And I pray that you create in us truly appreciative hearts, that we don't take any of your good gifts for granted, which is every moment of life that you give us and opportunities like tonight to do good work. So I'm thankful for your faithfulness, your forgiveness, your love, and your guidance. And we need a lot of your guidance all the time. And particularly tonight, I ask for your guidance for council, for staff, for everyone here, that we would seek to put the county's interests first and do good work in that regard. And you'd remind us in our hearts to be slow to speak, slow to anger, but very quick to listen. Help us to do that and for this to be your meeting. In your name I pray.
Mayor Dan Alexander, would you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, have approval minutes for October 3rd, 2023, regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Hart, second, Mr. Elliott. Any discussion or changes? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, next we have county attorney comments, Mr. David Root.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just two housekeeping matters. One, I really just need one motion to amend the agenda to remove the executive session items number 2 and 3. This is a receipt of legal advice regarding the potential contractual matter with the Kiwi River Development and council discussion regarding a contractual matter with the city of Walhalla. And then also would need a motion to remove the action item regarding the Walhalla contract right after that.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor?
Thank you, sir. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Root. County administrative comments, Ms. Amanda Brock.
I have nothing this evening, Mr. Chairman and Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brock. Next, we have proclamations. I have proclamation 2023-08, a proclamation declaring October 2023 as Disability Employment Awareness Month. Whereas South Carolinians with disabilities have the same aspirations to competitively work and contribute to their communities as everyone else. Whereas business and community leaders have called for a diverse and capable workforce to further advance the economy of the Palmetto State. Whereas the support and cooperation of all people are needed to reduce the attitudinal and physical barriers that hinder full acceptance of people with disabilities and their rightful place in the workforce. Whereas employment first, the employment in the general workforce is the first and outcome in the provision of publicly funded services for all working age citizens with disabilities, regardless of their level of disability, is implemented in all areas of service provisions and delivery for people with disabilities. And whereas National Disability Employment Awareness Month recognizes that individuals with disabilities are capable, contributing members of society worthy of full access and inclusion in South Carolina's workforce. Now, therefore, we, the Oconee County Council, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 as Disability Employment Awareness Month, and encourage all South Carolinians to work to advance the message that people with disabilities are equal to the task. Do I have a motion?
Move. Second.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The vote is 5-0.
Spot right here in the middle, Dan. Hey, Dan.
All right, ready?
Jeez.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have proclamation 2023-09, a proclamation commemorating the 75th anniversary of the Oconee County Public Library. Whereas the Oconee County Public Library was established May 3rd, 1948 as a result of petitions signed by Oconee County citizens, the state legislature authorized the creation of the library as part of the Department of Education. The first members of the Oconee County Library Commission were W.L. Jones, Chairman and Superintendent of Education, Ms. G.L. McLeese, Vice Chairman, and Ms. W.L. Sarah Mills Norton, Secretary. Whereas the Oconee County Public Library acquired accommodations in Walhalla within the old courthouse annex inside the former grand jury room and obtained a half-ton pickup truck to convert to a bookmobile. Services to the public began on October 18, 1948, with a schedule of 8 trips a month for the bookmobile. Ms. Louise Powell was hired as the first librarian, whereas Oconee County Public Library registered 357 patrons within the first 2 months of opening, and this continuing patron-driven growth led to the establishment of branch libraries in Westminster in 1950, Salem in 1952, and Seneca in 1953. Moreover, branches were established in the Crossroads and Shiloh communities, as well as Fairplay. And whereas the Oconee County Public Library maintained continued growth, which led to the construction of the first purpose-built library in Seneca. This new building was dedicated on October 20th, 1968, with Ms. Betty DuBose serving as the librarian. Likewise, new purpose-built buildings were constructed for Westminster and Walhalla. The Oconee County Council unanimously approved a resolution naming the Walhalla Library the Sarah Mills Norton Library. Ms. Norton served in various capacities on the library board from 1948 to 1968, whereas the Oconee County Public Library provides a service to a population of 78,607 residents. In 2022, the library had 50,017 registered borrowers, 119,407 library visits, and provided patrons the ability to borrow 272,905 items. Now therefore, we the Oconee County Council do hereby recognize and celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Oconee County Public Library, approved and adopted the 17th day of October, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The vote is 5-0.
Congratulations.
Tigers.
you're not a member of the library already, a library card application.
Okay.
Sir, thank you.
Next, we have proclamation 2023-10, a proclamation honoring Reverend Ted Edgar as the longest-serving pastor of a single church in Oconee County. Whereas Reverend Ted Edgar, born in the Utica community of Seneca, South Carolina, received his call to ministry as a teen while attending Seneca High School, and he went on to attend Southern Western University. Whereas Reverend Edgar, along with his wife Vera, have pastored the Full Gospel Temple in Seneca, South Carolina for 58 consecutive years, making him the longest-serving pastor of a single church in Oconee County. Whereas the Full Gospel Temple recently observed its 69th year of ministry. Whereas Reverend Edgar has served on the board of several local organizations, including the Oconee Memorial Chaplains Association and the Oconee County Ministerial Association. And whereas in Reverend Edgar's many years of steadfast service, he has helped equip many pastors, ministers, teachers, evangelists, and missionaries to serve throughout the world. Now, therefore, we, the Oconee County Council, do hereby recognize Reverend Ted Edgar for his 58 consecutive years of faithful service at the Full Gospel Temple, making him the longest-serving pastor of a single church in Oconee County, approved and adopted this 17th day of October, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Thank you for this honor.
Congratulations.
And I didn't know I'd stand here with you.
Me neither.
Bless you.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much. Bless you. Thank you, God.
I think you have some church members, if y'all wanna come on up and we'll get y'all in the picture.
How about people that just really love him?
That's okay, go ahead, go ahead. Come right here on this side for me, yes.
Hold it up open in the picture.
Leon, come on up here.
And
Wide limbs, huh?
I'm slow, but I'm getting you.
Yeah.
come on.
Back over there.
Yeah.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Give me your phone, I'll do yours. I got you. One, two, three.
We broke the camera.
No, you didn't. My shoes are aired. I promise you that.
Put it in a permanent place.
Take care of yourself.
Man,
Congratulations.
I love you.
Good to speak at dinner. Sure did.
Bless you.
God bless you, brother.
Amen. Amen. Love you.
Okay, now we have public comment session. As a reminder, we have 5 minutes for public comment. At the 4-minute mark, I will hold up a yellow 1-minute remaining sign. And as time expires, I hold up the red stop sign. As a reminder, council will not interact at that time, but each council member may answer or discuss any item brought up during the council member comment session.
Next, we have Mr. John Maury.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for having me here again, 10 minutes a month. Before I get to my chart that I passed to you this evening, I'd like to hit a couple of high points on the ordinances I've been talking to you about. And the first thing I want you to know is I'm not mad at you this evening. I'm not trying to get you disgusted at me, but I am trying to help, hopefully, you and the citizens of the county and understanding where we are with the ordinances for developments and where we need to go. One other thing you should probably realize is that you as a council, your planning commission and your administration does not know what is missing and what is wrong with your development ordinances. You're going to need some serious help. And so you shouldn't depend on anywhere intergovernmental here the way you've set up right now, because you just don't have the expertise. Okay, let's go to the chart. I gave you an organization chart that I came up with. It's not, I'm sure it's got things missing, but what it is a lot of organizations are called planning and zoning, engineering and planning. I titled this one Development Services. And what you can see is the biggest thing you're missing right now, starting off with a Development Services Director. And underneath that are all the agencies within the staff that it takes to approve a subdivision. Keeping in mind that only you and even the Planning Commission can only approve what is written. You can't go ask for more, or you're going to get yourself in a bind. So it's what's written is what you can approve, and if that's what's submitted and all the boxes are checked, you, I think, legally have an obligation to approve whatever that is. This isn't like fees in lieu of and stuff like that. These are strict ordinances. Your ordinances are, as I told you before, in my estimation, are 20 to 40 years behind. What you could do today probably wouldn't bring it up to today, but you might get it within 5 or 10 years from now back, and hopefully you can bring this thing around and start being able to have the type of ordinances that will put quality subdivisions on the ground. So that's going to bring me to the last thing. I won't use all my time tonight. You're going to really like this idea. I'm going to suggest and offer to you that based on the condition of your ordinances, that you immediately put in place a moratorium on all new preliminary and final plats for approval or application that encumber more than 10 lots or 10 acres. What this will do is give you time to correct your problems at hand, get you a department set up that can establish and review ordinances, and you'll be off and running. So right now, I just am with several of you saying, let's don't kick the can any further. You just have to grab it by the horns and start doing something about it. So I hope you will take that into consideration for the good of the county and the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Thomas Watford?
Good evening, my name is Tom Watford. About 30 days ago, I discovered an urgent and present danger within Oconee County as I was viciously attacked by 4 dogs riding my motorcycle right outside of Westminster, coming home from the grocery store. Following this attack and dealing with what comes with this experience, I have noticed that there is an ever-present issue of dogs running at large throughout the county. My wife herself has even hit a random vehicle going to work in the middle of the night on the road, no leash, no collar, which we've incurred a $85 expense, I think, to repair. Now we have an ordinance, Chapter 4 in the Oconee County, South Carolina Code of Ordinances, on animals at large, which I won't bore you with reading it. Y'all have access to that. And in speaking to animal control, Oconee County Animal Control, I've discovered there's been 63 dog bites to date this year. Some of those are owner related. I'm sure a good majority of those are maybe not. But the issue is, animal control, from as I've discovered, doesn't have the facilities to house these animals that they need to pick up. So therefore, if it's not a dangerous dog bite, they're discouraged from picking the animal up off the street. So, my great suggestion, I would hope that as a council, working with the sheriff's department, you could work on funding maybe a facility to put these dogs, because as the state law is written, they have to house these dogs for 5 days before they can euthanize them if there's no owner. And right now we're at capacity, they cannot house any more dogs unless it's a severe bite. Speaking to you as someone who fought for my life 30 days ago with no means of serious defense, we gotta do better. We gotta do better. Quick Google search will prove to you that I'm not the only victim. There's several others within our own county. Within the past year, there's 2 different people that were attacked by the same pack of dogs within the city limits of Seneca. There was a woman that had to be flown out of the city limits of Westminster due to a dog attack. So, you know, what are we gonna do about it? And that's my question. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watford.
There are no more speakers.
No more speakers? Next, we'll move to council member comment session. Any council members like to speak?
Yeah, just touching base, I did, Mr. Watford, we had a good conversation on the phone, and we did talk about, animals roaming without knowledge of really who the owner is. We've done a better job in the last few years. It needs to continue to get better. The funding needs to improve, and I think we've done some good things in this budget cycle to increase funding for the spay and neuter program, which helps, keep the population down. Holding owners accountable is a big thing, especially for dogs like that. And not only in your case, but I know of several other cases that has involved that. Sometimes it's involved the same dog. So I think we're doing some really good things. We got some new people that's in that position. I know they've reached out to you, probably will continue to reach out to you to address that situation. It is unfortunate, It's unfortunate not only for the human, but it's unfortunate for the dog, probably for the environment that that dog is living in to create that. You know, because some people blame it on the breed. I blame it on the owner of the dog and the environment that that dog's in. So I think we're headed in the right direction. We need to do more. Funding is very expensive to keep that, but I do agree with you that you know, we need to continue to make sure we're doing the best thing that we can so that doesn't happen again. Will it happen? Yeah. Will it be, can we do some things locally to help put some pressure on those owners? Yes. And that's what I think we need to continue to do.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any other comments?
I don't have
Mr. Warford, I appreciate you coming forward. I had a very similar situation about 9 years ago, so I know a little bit about what you feel. And if you don't mind, I'd like to get your phone number from Mr. Davis, and I'll give you a call sometime. Thank you. No other comments? We move to public hearings. I have a public hearing on ordinance number 2023-17, an ordinance authorizing pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, as amended, the execution and delivery of a special source revenue credit agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and Books for Less LLC, along with Miles 302 Palmer LLC, also known as Project Galt, acting for themselves, one or more current or future affiliates and other project companies collectively, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, creating a or modifying an existing joint county industrial and business park between Oconee County and Pickens County so as to designate the property of the project as part of the park and other related matters. For open public hearing.
There are no speakers.
With no speakers, I close public hearing on ordinance 2023-17. Next, we have third and final reading of ordinance 2023-17. That's the ordinance I just read for public hearing. It's on your screen in front of you. Do I have a motion?
Move. Second.
I have a motion, Mr. Davis, second, Mr. Elliott. Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to welcome Books for Less here in Oconee County and look forward for Books for Less to grow as we grow.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott.
Wanting to echo what Mr. Elliott said. I'm grateful for the purchase of that building and repurpose of that, as well as hoping for some growth, and that's a large tract of land, so appreciate them looking at that and choosing Westminster is a great place to locate their business.
Mr. Davis? Any other comments? I just like to say I appreciate them choosing Oconee too. I think there was in Pickens prior, and then using that building, that is, that's tremendous. Thank you. All right, so, here are no other comments, all in favor?
Votes 5-0.
All right, second reading of the following ordinance 2023-18, and ordinance amending chapter 32 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in certain limited regards and particulars only regarding amendments, deletions to the sign control ordinance of Oconee County and other matters related thereto. Have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Davis, second, Mr. Elliott. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Votes 5-0.
Have first reading of the following ordinance 2023-20. This is in title only. An ordinance authorizing pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, the execution and delivery of a special source revenue credit agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and a company identified as Camden Management Partners Incorporated, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and other project companies, collectively company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem tax incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, creating a joint county industrial and business park between Oconee County and Pickens County, so as to designate the property of the project as part of the park and other related matters. I have a motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is 5-0.
We have no resolutions to read tonight. Up next is discussion items regarding development standards in the county. Mr. John Elliott.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for allowing me to have a place on the agenda. This is for new developments I'm proposing, not existing developments, but new developments of 25 acres of land or greater in the aggregate. And these three simple development standards, it's bare bones standards. The first would be lighting pointing downward. My daughter lives in Atlanta, and she can't see the stars and moon at night. And I don't want her or my other daughter or my future grandchildren coming here and not being able to see the moon and the stars and gaze. I know Mr. Drummond just went to New York City, and I'm sure you couldn't see the stars, the moon there either. Number two, I'd like to propose a setback with trees on the perimeter of the property, all sides as a buffer. This is to ensure quality of life, preserve the beauty of Oconee County. And number three, 1 acre of green space set aside for every 25 acres of land. Here again, quality of life and preserve the beauty of Oconee County. I'm not sure we can stop clear cutting, but at least the perimeter would have trees. So I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to write up an ordinance on development standards with these three criteria and place the proposed ordinance on the next council agenda. After first reading, it will go down to the planning commission for their comments and then back up to county council for second reading. That's my motion.
I have a motion from Mr. Elliott,
I'll second it for discussion.
second from Mr. Davis for discussion. Any discussion?
Well, I don't agree with part of that myself. Putting trees on the borders of the property, I think is ridiculous myself. It'd be a waste of property, and I disagree with the green area per ever 25 acres. I don't think that should be one of the standards either.
Any further discussion?
I think as we move along with discussion, it'll be good to have a multitude of individuals to kind of talk about it a little bit, throw around in the planning commission. It could come back through committee, or it could come back through to council. I plan to move in favor of that just so we can have that discussion and address some of those things. Mr. Hart, I think kind of what you're talking about is, a single acre in the middle of it. And I don't think that's the idea is to quit having a desert of a subdivision for those that live around it. And I know some houses that we've had that's been impacted by housing developments, and I know the property's for sale, anybody can buy it, which is great, that the house is built right on top of them and they've lost some trees. So I think a buffer is good for everybody, including the developer as well, for the charm of what Oconee County is about. So, but I look forward to hearing the discussion from multiple people as we move forward. And then bring back to council, we got 2 readings, public hearing, and then a 3rd reading. So you're looking at March, April, May of next year. So a long time to kind of talk to some people and get your thoughts. So glad for the discussion.
Any other discussion?
Well, I'd like to have a minute here and say, I haven't fully read the development standards. Being the freshman up here, I'm still catching up. But if you look around the county, and I've lived here my entire life, so I've seen the entire changes. Maybe not necessarily up toward the lake. I was a country boy. And I do think, though,
with times changing and us becoming what I will call a destination point, we've been found and discovered that we probably need to, maybe like Julian's saying, take a comprehensive look at the development standards. And more than likely, they do need to be updated to some degree. Not getting into any of the specific details of what we would put in it, but it needs to come from like a committee from various ideas. And any and all things could be considered. We could take these three as some consideration, but there may be others. There may be other places in that standard that really needs to be updated to take into account the development that is coming in and the type of development that's coming in. What I don't want to see is I don't live too far off of Highway 59, and I travel 59 at least weekly, and there's one development just outside of Seneca where the 4 lanes turns in back into 2, and we've got houses sitting in there, and they're 10 foot apart, just the minimum setback. That's what I don't want to see happen to Oconee County. So that's my 2 cents worth, and I would like to see us do a comprehensive review of it.
So I spoke with Ms. Linville. She represents the Clemson area on the Pickens County Council. They're currently undergoing a complete makeover of their development standards. And some of the stuff they're doing, I don't know if we have the appetite in Oconee County for it. I guess it'd be seen if they have the appetite for it in Pickens County. I didn't realize this, but right now there's no zoning in Pickens County, according to Ms. Linville. But one of the things she talked about that they're doing, or that they're proposed that's coming forward for reading, is something similar to what Mr. Elliott's bringing forward here. So far, it's not so much limited on acreage. It's like if they do, if a subdivision is 10 house sites or less, then there's pretty much no regulation. They can clear cut it and build over 10, then they start triggering points for green space, stuff like that. One thing we have to be cognizant of is home prices are through the roof and they're continuing to rise. And we don't want to take actions that's going to exacerbate that problem. We talk about we want jobs so we can have young people start graduating from here, graduate from Tri-County, Clemson, and staying. But we don't want to make it unaffordable to live. And a lot of things that's been thrown out there would certainly do that, not necessarily what Mr. Elliott's bringing forward right now. So we want to be careful with that. And with buffers and setbacks, you got to be careful too to not use up too much property that drives up the price. Also, we talk about farmland. We don't want to create a situation with urban sprawl where it eats up more of the farmland. But I'm not opposed to moving forward to seeing what this looks like. I appreciate the simpleness of it. I wouldn't want to see something get too complicated because the one that came forward last year, I feel like it was damaging to small businesses if it would have passed because it had that on it too with the buffer. But my biggest question is, do you want to give just 2 weeks? Is 2 weeks enough time for staff to draft?
I don't think we have a meeting the 1st November. That's the election.
We have about a month.
So this is 4 weeks.
There's enough time? Okay.
Mr. Durham, you kind of brought up something that's, the original last time this kind of came up, it was very, very simple. And it was really around lighting more than it was anything else. When it came back from planning, it had, the trees were supposed to turn red in the fall. So you're right in kind of what you're talking about. If the instructions coming down to planning are to keep it simple, I think that's the best method of moving forward. So whether we decide to take something out or whatever, but when last time we had a lot of things that got added in from planning that made it very complex. When the original intent of that one was to start with development standards regarding lighting, and it turned into something it wasn't. So as we move forward, I think that's good instructions down to planning to develop. Because we don't have, to my knowledge, we don't have development standards. We have some zoning, we have some things through there, but there's not a, council development standards saying this is what we want a subdivision to look like. So there's no development standards. So that's why you don't know, because there is none. So this is us drafting and creating something, together. So we're on you to it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we got the man back there can tell you what type of setbacks we have right now. What kind of setbacks do we have? Yes, sir.
Colby, would you please step forward?
The current setbacks are all based on either the zoning designation and the lot size. So depending on how small or large the lot is, in control-free, there are setbacks. Residential is different setbacks. Agricultural will be different setbacks.
He was just speaking about the apartments on 59, that's, what is the setback?
In a
between-
control-free district, if it's less than a quarter acre lot, it's gonna be 10 foot on the front and 5 on the sides and rear. If it's between a quarter acre and half an acre, it's gonna be 15 on the front, 5 on the side and rear. And if it's a half acre or more, it'll be 25 on the front, 10 on the back, and 5 on the sides. For that particular piece.
Well, while I got you here, I had someone call me and ask me, could they plant a tree and how close to the line could they plant it?
They can plant anywhere they want inside the line.
That's what I told them.
That was me they called.
Can the tree overhang the line,
It'll be a few years before that happens.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Arthur.
I won't object to going forward with another group discussing this, because I think some of them have the same opinion I've got.
These houses are selling almost before they are built.
And after the first ordinance, of course, first reading, we'll send it down to planning commission and get all their input.
Right.
Yep.
We get,
The reason why they're building the houses the way they are is because that's what the market's demanding. So, that's, there's, 3 or 4 different builds that's going on now. All of them are at different standpoints. There's no more $130,000 starting house. It's $230, $240. So I agree
Upwards of
with,
400.
wow, yeah, and how you do that when you start. So I agree with being careful about what we're doing, but I also want to make sure that, what's the point on looking like Charlotte?
Well, you gotta hit a happy medium where the developer can come in and make his profit. I mean, he's in business to make money. But you also gotta take in consideration aesthetics, also of the community.
You just can't make housing unaffordable, which it already is. So,
It's hard to define, quote, affordable housing these days.
Well, if we're aiming to develop, your 85 corridor with this industrial that's being proposed that could be out there, you're gonna need 10 to 15,000 more houses in the next 3 to 5 years. Where are they gonna go? So that's one of the reasons why I think these standards are being brought forth, as we continue to move forward in discussion. Thank you.
any other discussion?
I got one more question. If we
Yes,
got a subdivision, am I supposed to plant them on my border, then he's gonna plant them the next door on his border, to where we got 2 rows of trees there?
It can be a mutual tree.
Yeah, mutual. I mean, if you got side by side, that's the perimeter between you and the next property. So you share, you wouldn't have to put double trees.
You have to climb on your side of the tree, they don't climb on your side.
But the whole thing is, there's 2 sides to that line, is the reason I ask that.
And, Mr. Edwards, is your intent for the setback and the trees to be the property of the subdivision? Or
Of the
prop-
development,
Of the
yes.
development?
Of the development.
Not the individual lots?
That's correct.
Okay.
Just the perimeter of the entire, in the aggregate, take it as a whole. So if it's phase 1, phase 2, phase 4, it's still in aggregate,
Right.
just that border.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Mr. Mr. Chairman, just real quick, and I'll have that for the next council meeting. Just for those watching, we do have something that most folks would consider development standards in chapter 32. It works in concert with chapter 36. I don't want someone to just go freestyling out there and say, they say we don't have anything. It's not it doesn't touch on the issues y'all are talking about, but it certainly lays out what you have to do to develop a subdivision and all the requirements that you have to follow. So just wanted to note that for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Reed, for the clarification. And next, we have discussion item to request council's approval to commit matching funds not to exceed $14,558 towards the Oconee County Courthouse Justice Assistance Grant from the South Carolina Department of Public Safety Justice Assistance Grant Program. Amount not to exceed $14,558. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Have a motion, Mr. Hart, second, Mr. Davis, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
Council consideration of accepting of a $100,000 grant from the South Carolina Coordinating Council for Economic Development for Mine America's Project. It is the staff's recommendation that council approve the grant agreement between South Carolina Coordinating Council for Economic Development and Oconee County. Motion,
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Davis, motion, second, Mr. Elliott. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
Next, we have 2023 Chevrolet Silverados. That's for the Department of Fire and Emergency Services. The amount's $259,990. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2023-2024 budget process. Budget $259,990. Project cost $259,990 with a balance of $0. That funding is coming from the Fire Emergency Services Capital Vehicle Equipment and Small Capital Fund. It is staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of 5 Chevrolet Silverados from Love Chevrolet of Columbia, South Carolina in the amount of $259,900. This is written different. So it'd be $259,990. That bottom line.
I'm sorry, there is a typo there, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you catching that. The
59990.
official amount is $259,990.
So staff's recommendation that we purchase from Love Chevrolet for $259,990. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Davis, second, Mr. Elliott. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd just like to thank the motor pool and Fire and Emergency Services for stretching out the life of these vehicles, and the number of miles is amazing. So applaud that. I think that's saving the taxpayers a lot of money to stretch it that far.
Indeed.
Mr. Elliott. Any other discussion?
I do have one question. I noticed here that Love Chevrolet is going to provide these vehicles. And it says here that they're in Columbia and they're the South Carolina state contract holder. Is there any way that we could pull that contract and keep the money in Oconee County? Because we got a Chevrolet dealer just up the road.
Ms.
No,
Ross?
sir, state contract prices, if I may, Mr. Mize, state contract prices are like pool prices. And they don't do it by individual dealership. They do it by the dealership that is allocated to receive state contract. In years past, local Chevrolet dealerships have, on occasion, one here, one there, done a near match on pricing, but the state contract price is the lowest price, and these vehicles are on the lot for that state contract.
Yeah, the state gets a big discount because it's volume based. You can't really beat a state contract.
Now, I'm not arguing about the
I
price.
asked that same question my first year on, so
I just love to see it stay in the county.
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
5-0.
Right, next we have 4 2023 Dodge Durangos and 1 2023 Dodge Charger for the Sheriff's Department. The amount is $203,609. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2023-2024 budget process. Budget $203,609. Project cost $203,609. Remaining balance of $0. Funding is from the Capital Equipment Vehicle Fund. It is staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of 4 2023 Dodge Durangos and 1 Dodge Charger from Santee Automotive on Manning, South Carolina, in the amount of $203,609. I have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Miles, second, Mr. Hart. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Next, we have council committee reports. We have the Law Enforcement, Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee. Mr. Miles.
Okay. We had a Law Enforcement, Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee meeting on October the 3rd. We got an update from the sheriff on the alternative to incarceration program. Sheriff Crenshaw provided an update to the committee regarding the alternative to incarceration program, noting several milestones that current inmates have achieved, and informed the committee about the award of a $1 million federal grant that will be facilitated through their partnership with the OARS program to help expand mental health services, addiction services, and transitional housing for inmates. We also had an update from the Director of Oconee County Emergency Services, Mr. Scott Crine. He provided some updates regarding emergency services, Narcan training, CPR training, the community medic outreach program, and integration of an updated public warning system and staffing updates. Then we had one other one from Mr. James Coley, the planning director on commercial junkyard ordinance. And they basically informed the committee that the planning commission had recommended no further action regarding the proposed junkyard ordinance. And that concluded the committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. Next, we have board and commission appointments, and we have none. I think that's the first time since I've been here that all the boards and commissions been full. So that's good on the council, because I know it's hard to find qualified people to serve on boards, and also gratitude to everyone who is currently serving on board. Next, need a motion to enter executive session. Discussion regarding economic development matter, Project Red.
So moved.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Hart? need a motion to exit executive session?
So move.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
That is my vote.
Okay, nothing needs to take action coming out of the executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.